All right, I want to bring in Miles Punch now, if I can. Hi, Miles. You're actually studying in Year 12, you're studying physics, but you're from the region. Just tell us your story. You're really engaged in this issue.
Yeah, so my name is Miles Punch. I'm 18. I'm from Maitland. I'm studying maths, physics, the likes, to study engineering next year in 2025 at Newcastle University. Obviously, in physics, we've had to undertake a course of study learning about all the different types of power. Coal, we've had to learn about all of the generators, all of your other ways of making it. Hydro, hydrogen, all of your other forms, nuclear. I think that, having looked at all of these from a non-political view, purely scientifically, our best option would realistically be to diversify our power grid, to take it into as many forms as possible so that we don't lose our economy and our power grid, when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining. We need to have nuclear, we need to have solar, we need to have wind.
So you do think nuclear should be in the mix?
I think that it definitely should. It's a great way of doing it. You have isotopes, the size of a golf ball that are powering cities. It's great. It's a good option.
How about the cost issue?
The cost issue is definitely there. I do think that, we're looking at several $1 billion to build these reactors, and it is going to weigh in on that. But I think, out there we have the world's largest coal port. Unfortunately, it's not going to be sustainable forever. It's not going to be our best option forever. And recycling those jobs and, recycling the coal port and that land.
So, Miles, let me ask you, you're 18, you've got a whole future in front of you. Do you want to stay in the region?
I do. Currently potentially looking at moving to Germany down the track a little bit, but I will be staying in here for the next foreseeable future.
Okay. It's interesting. Thanks, Miles. Miles obviously says it should be part of the mix.
And he's right.
But a lot of young people, more young people are sort of expressing that agnostic view about what the energy is, right?
Look, he's absolutely right. You are absolutely right. In a perfect world, we would have all of those options because they all work together. Good baseload power, good intermittent power, lots of renewable, lots of carbon neutral approaches as we go forward. Problem is, right this minute, the issue with nuclear is we can't build one quickly enough right now to fill the gap, which is the reason we need to focus on gas. But maybe we've got to look past that.
But Kate, we've got to start at some point.
Then why didn't you start when you were in government?
It's got to start at some point because the thing is, it's like the question about the tree. The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, but the next best time to plant it is now. And if you've got an agreement that nuclear is appropriate, then why wouldn't we start? And why wouldn't we at least get rid of the prohibitions?
Well, we've got to get gas right first so we don't run out of it.
The first thing is, if you're studying engineering, that is really important. That is terrific. We need more engineers. We need more engineers in our power system. We need more engineers as we undergo the biggest industrial transformation that we have undertaken in this country. We will need nuclear engineers in our program to build nuclear-powered, conventionally armed submarines. That is going to be more than enough work, I can tell you, for Australia in the nuclear space. Enough of a challenge for us. The truth is that even if you ignore the cost issues, which are gigantic, it's not just tens of billions of dollars. One project in the United Kingdom, a nuclear economy, $86 billion. Like more than $50 billion over budget, more than 10 years over time. We have assets when Barnaby was in power, in that decade, where 4 gigawatts of generation went out of the system and only 1 gigawatt went in because there was no appetite from the investment community to invest in Australia because the policy settings were a dog's breakfast. But that is the reason that every coal-fired power station has announced its closure because they're at the end of their life. David Littleproud, Barnaby's colleague, says we should sweat these assets for a bit longer.
Okay.
You would only say that if you'd never been in one. They are
just reply, and then I've got
infrastructure at the end of their life.
If you want to see a cost overrun, one of the classic ones is the Orana West, which initially was quoted at $650 million for intermittent power. It's now up to $5.4 billion for intermittent power and heading north. When we look at what Tim just quoted, I understand if you've got a one-off new type of nuclear reactor, then you're going to have a whole heap of latent
So you can
costs
see
that
there
come
have
in.
been big blowouts,
But
right?
if you build designed, proven nuclear reactors like you see in Korea, Japan, Hitachi, then you take away that risk. And I'm not saying small modular reactors, because you're right, they haven't built them yet. But if you take the design principles of ones that are operational now, it's a completely different equation.
All right.
But
It's
also the
completely
price
different
in
equation.
England, the English have 15% nuclear power. They pay more for their power
And the
than
Finns
we
pay
do.
less.
It does not
The
bring
Finns
down
pay less.
prices. And the French pay more.
Ontario's half our
and
price.
the French pay
Ontario's
more.
half our power. The
The other
eastern
thing
states
that
of
people
America's
don't talk
half our
about is
power.
those countries don't have the amount of solar radiation we have. We have the most solar radiation in the world. And in just 2 years, with a government that actually invests in renewables, we've gone to 40%. We are at 40% renewable, and the batteries now
our power
have
price
the
is going through the roof.
batteries-
It's not going through the floor, it's going through the roof.
The batteries have outpaced all expectation. They can now
They
hold
last for
so
hours,
much more. And the reason
not weeks.
power has gone through the roof is because we've had a government that didn't invest in renewables for 10 years.
Okay, but Dee, we need the batteries won't do it when it's raining.
They won't do it. They only do it for a period
Okay.
of